Tarsier Studios' REANIMAL is a game that was anticipated by lots of people. The game released on February 13th in 2026 and opinions on the games are divided. Is the game really worth the base price of $40 and does the game live up to the hype? Even though REANIMAL uses Unreal Engine 5, the game looks absolutely gorgeous for the most part. Many of the set pieces, big and small, are beautifully done. Even thrilling poppy fields like this one are very pretty, but still know how to remain an ominous and haunting feel to it. The majority of the game looks phenomenal, and the atmosphere stands for the majority. I personally did feel like some of the locations felt kind of dead, like bits in the town at the forest side. The game also made use of a variety of completely different looking areas, and with a runtime of 3 to 4 hours, the shift in environments tended to feel a little too quick, unrealistic now and then. One of the main locations, the orphanage, tended to feel quite repetitive in its use of rooms. Many hallways and rooms looked pretty much the same compared to one another, all having the same planks used for walls and floors. REANIMAL's sound design was actually very solid. I played the game on launch and also several amount of times after that, and overall I did not have many issues with bugs. I did stumble upon a bug that forced me to restart a chapter, but other than that you are always able to stumble upon some minor bugs, but they don't influence the gameplay that much. The game only recently launched, so patches are to be made. REANIMAL uses Unreal Engine 5, which means that one will need a strong device to be able to run the game smoothly. Not everyone has a strong enough PC, however, and since UE5 tends to cause a lot of lag, this can become an issue. Tarsier promised the game to be 6 to 7 hours long, no pun intended, in their official FAQ. This, however, is far from true, as the game turned out to be 3 to 4 hours long in total. My first playthrough ended up becoming 4.5 hours in length, but my more recent ones ended up ranging around the 3 hours as well. This makes the game with a base price of $40 certainly overpriced. The characters all have simple but still very neat designs, and each design is bound to a certain story that the player will come across when playing the game. Their names, however, I personally feel like they could have been a lot more creative. Won't spoil too much about the game's story, but in short, there was a flood at some point, and that flood turned a once normal world into, well, less. Now, a boy and a girl want to rescue their 3 other friends while having to survive on a dangerous journey across and between a few islands in this world. This sounds like a simple premise, but the story will become a lot more intricate as the game goes on. The story is told with a very small amount of dialogue between the characters, and other than that, environmental storytelling. The story is pretty confusing, but is definitely there and pretty fun to theorize on. The controls of REANIMAL are easy to get used to, even on PC. This game has customizable keybinds in its in-game settings as well. Tarsier did a fantastic job, in my opinion, on symbolism in their game and its areas, and you'll be finding a couple of very deep and, in my opinion, fantastically executed scenes. As the game progresses, you will find more of your friends. They will tag along with you, but at many sections they will wait outside while you do a puzzle or enter a new area. To me, this tended to feel very off. For example, you arrive at the orphanage with 2 of your friends found, but once you enter the orphanage to find the last friend, the 2 will casually wait outside for you while you are gone for 2 chapters straight. When you think about this, this barely makes any sense. Their goal is to find their friends, but at the same time they let their friends sit out there alone, unprotected, with no form of self-defense or weapons on them. They could easily be abducted or hurt again, but the player will just leave their friends behind. This happens on multiple occasions throughout the story, and it felt very unrealistic to me. This is obviously done so that the player won't have issues with too many AI companions walking around the place, but it still felt weird. The runtime of the bosses were very short for most of them. One of the bosses had a single chase, being less than 2 minutes in length, and while the sequence was fantastic...
Oh no, I don't like how it moves. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. That was great. I thought we were just getting straight into it.
It was disappointing to see how quickly it came to an end.
Wait, no, that's not all, right? No, don't throw like a Pianosaurus.
The belonging minor enemies, being seagulls, had nearly thrice the amount of screen time. The orphanage's main boss didn't have a lot of screen time either, and again, the minor enemies there had a lot more screen time than the main enemy. Then there was an enemy that ended up getting a single chase after being nearly killed instantly. And while the boss designs were great and terrifying, they were still certainly underused for the most part. The game starts off with a boss that is a human and with humanoid minor bosses, and it takes over an hour and a half before the first hostile animal is seen. One that was incredible, but still only had 2 minutes of screen time in the end. I feel like there was a lot of time in between bosses, and if these sections had been shortened up to make place for more runtime of main bosses, this point could have easily been solved. I also believe that since the title of the game is REANIMal, it would have been cool to see a lot more animals in this game, and while the humanoid bosses were cool in design and gameplay, it would have felt more natural if the first boss had been an animal, since the game is literally titled REANIMal. This could feel a little bit confusing to some people when playing the game.
Well, this is our first instance of an actual animal, so... so far they've been just people, right?
While being a puzzle game, REANIMal had quite a lack of actual puzzles, and many of them were things like flicking levers or moving obstacles around. They really weren't that challenging, and while a puzzle game doesn't need to be challenging, having a bit of a challenge never hurts. My overall opinions, REANIMal is a pretty solid game, and with all the points being made, I would personally give it a 7.5 out of 10. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, share and comment, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.